Good morning, sixth graders. So I am now adding the last lesson in our Elements of Art learning segment. We have talked about line, shape, color, value, 3D form, and texture. So the last thing we're going to talk about is space, even though we've kind of been using it all along. Space is the illusion of depth in your drawing. I'm going to switch over to the Elmo so that I can show you some examples of what that looks like. All righty. So we've been talking about textures, and when you create textures, you are putting in a background color, your local color. So if you have a green tree or a brown tree trunk, you're shading it the light brown. And then we're creating the illusion of form by shading this cylinder. And then that kind of adds that 3D space. Okay, this center part of the tree is closer to me. This part is further away. And then with the textures, we're adding a foreground, okay, something that is over the top. And in some senses, that is creating depth and space as well. But in the space exists around us. And in art, we see illusions. We use illusions to make space. So this is called a picture plane. So the whole piece of your picture is a picture plane, all right? And the things that are closer to you are further down to the bottom. So we say that those are in the foreground, okay? When things are in the foreground, they are usually bigger. They contain more details, like the shadows under the grass here, and the very good texture in those railroad ties, being able to see the detail of the ends of them. So when things are in the foreground, they are going to contain the most information to help you tell the story in your picture, okay? And then you have the middle ground, and the middle ground is kind of in the center of the paper. And the middle ground is going to still have a lot of good detail, but it is not going to be quite as emphasized, okay? In the background, which is the higher up you go, there's more than one layer, obviously, because I have my railroad ties here, I have my gravel and mud and puddles, I have the path that they're building, and then I have the brick wall, and then I have the tree. This tree is closer to us than this tree is, okay? This tree back here is further away, and I can tell that because it's smaller and it's higher in the picture plane. So your placement in the picture plane tells your people that are looking at your picture where an object is located. Other ways that you can show depth and 3D and space is through proportion, okay? So proportion is the size relationship of one thing to another thing. So this tree is kind of a medium size, and then this one is smaller because it is farther away. If there were another tree up here in the foreground, it would be even taller. Okay, so then you'd have a large, a medium, and a small foreground, middle ground, and background. Okay, another really good way to create depth is through overlapping in space. So when something is overlapping, it's blocking that object. So I never have had the chance to finish this one, but created a well. There's a bucket on the back side. So I have this nice old stone wall with some grass and details. There's vines, there's moss. Okay, and it's overlapping this tree. We can't see the bottom part of this tree. So we know that it is right behind the wall here. It's overlapping, and this tree is overlapping onto this tree. Notice how I shaded dark to light out from behind this tree. Maybe this tree is casting a little bit of a shadow on this tree, but I can see the roots of this tree. It's up higher in the picture plane, so I know that it is further away from me. In my well, even though it's kind of light colored and harder to see, you can see the chain coming down and going inside the well. So this front wall overlaps the chain, but you can see the chain in front of the back wall of the well. Little details like that give a lot of information about your space. In this picture, about all kinds of different things going on in this picture. Um, you know, each little layer, this shepherd's hook with the bird house hanging on it is behind the puddle, and then there's grass behind that, and then the tree behind that, and there's a vine growing up the tree, and you have all kinds of different things happening. You have your barrel, and when we learned how to make cylinders, we curve that, so this is in front of the barrel, and inside the barrel, overlapping the back wall of it, you have the fire coming out, and they're burning some leaves or something there, okay? So all of these different skills that we have learned, we've learned how to use lines to create the illusion of objects. Could be fire, can be grass, can be leaves, can be texture on a surface. We've learned how to use lines for the different textures. We have hatching lines, scumbling lines, cross-hatching, stippling, invented textures. We've learned all of our shapes and how they can be used. I mean, even if it's just a little rock, when you shade that rock with value and color, you can give it the illusion of form or add texture. So all of these elements of art, even though on their own they're very simple, when we combine them together and create a composition in a space, we're telling a story. And the story, that's what art is about. Art is about expressing an idea, or a memory, or a feeling, or an opinion. What we're going to do for our final project this year, using all of these skills, the lines, the shapes, the colors, the values, the form, the texture, and the space, is you're going to create a picture of your choice that tells a story of something you have done, maybe. I have had students do pictures of going camping with their families. They don't have to draw the people. We're gonna focus on how we have learned to use our textures to create a space, a place, something special to us. I had somebody who did an old Ford pickup truck that they helped their grandpa work on in the summers. I've had people who do pictures of their house, or a Girl Scout trip. One of them was a Girl Scout trip. So you get to make any picture that you want. Okay. My challenge for you, what I would like you to challenge yourself by trying to do, is I would like for you to try to use at least 5 textures, different textures, and 5 3D forms on your final project. It can be any kind of picture that you want. I do want you to use all the exceptional coloring and blending and value shading skills that we learned in this project. I want you to create space with background, middle ground, and foreground. You can use overlapping. You can use proportion, 3D form drawing. And finish your work with high quality, imaginative attention to detail. But here's the thing to remember. We're still skill building. You're still new at this, and you will have some struggles. And we've talked about one of the reasons we learned so much about persistence this year and how to practice things is that you'll have mess ups in your picture and you'll need to fix them. You can always ask for help to fix them. You can get ideas from your friends on how to fix them. Ask me. That's collaboration when you talk to your classmates about your project, and I highly encourage you to do that. They may have some ideas of different textures that you can create in your project. So as we continue to work on our skills and improve, I will hopefully be able to see that improvement in your project. Okay, remember, nothing has to be perfect. We're only working towards progress. We want to be improving each time we try to do something. We want to be getting better at it because we're still in the practice level. We're not professional artists at this point. So be gentle with yourself. If you have a new skill on your project that you want to, maybe you want to draw a truck. We talked about how to draw objects with cubes that are based on cubes. So that's something you'd want to practice a couple times on your practice paper before you put it on your final. So the more times you practice it, the better you will get at it, especially if you use that practice system that I taught you where you reflect and you look at it and you are honest with yourself about where you can improve. And then you go about finding help to improve those areas or practicing more so that you can improve them. It's okay not to be perfect. You're skill building, and our goal is imperfect progress. And that's all it's ever going to be, because in art, you're never done. You're always growing and creating and exploring and experimenting. So I hope you have fun with this final project. You've learned so much.